Well, it is Sunday evening here in Altoona, Iowa. A lot calmer today than it was Saturday. This is Dave, and I welcome you back to the workbench at Scale Models Midwest. Saturday, we had an interesting day. We had about 24 tornadoes hit Iowa, mostly southern Iowa. We were part of the area affected here in Altoona. There were about 24 tornadoes, one of which touched down around Winterset, Iowa, and caused damage there, as well as damage in the town of Norwalk and in the town of Newton, where the Newton Raceway is at. Here in Altoona, we were in the line of fire, but we got lucky. The tornado passed just south of our house, about 3 miles south, and while we could see it from our living room window, it was still scary, while awe-inspiring, and unfortunately, the storms were also deadly. We're counting our blessings because we're safe. The only thing we had to contend with was a lot of hail, mostly marble-sized hail, but it was larger in other areas. So anything that got damaged, obviously it can be replaced. Human lives can't. So our thoughts and prayers go out to those who were affected by this. I know my wife's got a cousin in Norwalk that lives there. May or may not have been affected by the tornadoes. She's waiting to hear back from her, make sure she's okay. And I have friends that also live in Norwalk, as well as in Newton and in Winterset. From what I've heard from everyone so far, they're okay. Some had some damage, but really they're safe, they're sound, and that's all that matters. So, having said that, just wanted to give you an update on the Pepsi Challenger. Again, as you see here on the table, it is almost complete. I have the model pretty much assembled. I just need to make the body to the chassis and get the front windshield glued in place, and then I call it done, shelf ready. First of all, I want to show you the chassis, so I'll move the body out of the way for now. The chassis, I did a lot of paint detail on it. Decals are in place for the dashboard as well as for the fire extinguisher. The chassis came out really well. I'll do a little bit of weathering before I put it up on the shelf. The headers I had to trim probably about 1/8 of an inch so they could fit to the headers and the collector pipes just fine. When I did that, I kind of had a thought that there might be something not right with the headers, because normally you don't have to do that, but I did. So when I took a look at the body, I realized that it's a little left of center, and then when I looked at the header, you can't see it from here, but right at the front, it was not sitting in its little pinhole. So I think as I glued it together and set it off to the side to dry, I may have bumped it because it wasn't in place, and I didn't see it until I actually had this glued into the chassis and ready to go. I've watched how other builders do their chassis, and I usually keep the firewall and the dashboard off until I have the engine mounted, because otherwise you run the risk of damaging especially a lot of the thin parts that you put on the kit prior to that. So I think what happened is, with the header not being in its place right, it didn't sit properly on top of a little mounting tab that's supplied on the bottom cross member. So again, it sits left to center. It also sits just a little bit more at an angle than would normally be, but it still clears. When you test fit the body to the chassis and you put the hood on, you make sure everything's in place, you'll know for sure before you start gluing things in. It did clear everything just fine, so it's not going to be something that sticks out like a sore thumb. But again, it's not something I'm all that far worried about. It was not a make or break, and it was something that was user inflicted, not indicative of the kit. Speaking of the kit, I still have to kind of brush it up just a little bit because I had a little bit of wheel shavings from sanding the awesome tires that Salvino JRs puts out with the kit. I have to put the windshield in place. I have the rear window currently glued in and drying. But look at the decals. This thing looks spectacular. Two-tone paint scheme. The masking job that I did, I tried to follow the instructions in the kit. to the best of my ability, and I think my ability was good enough. I also think choosing the TS47 chrome yellow was a good choice, because this little decal on the back on the trunk is the only one that has yellow on it, and it looks like it matched perfectly. The masking that I did lined up just fine, especially where the pinstripes are concerned. I was particularly happy with that. I just have to do a couple of little pinstripe touch-ups. I do have some extra pinstripe material that I'm going to use for that, but again, it's nothing that's, again, make or break on the kit. It just came together really well. I definitely recommend, when you do put these decals on, put the black decals on first. You have contingency decals that go over top that, and if you put them on first and then think, oh, yeah, now time to put the decals on for the black, you're going to be losing some decals. I've done that before, so learn from my mistake. Otherwise, everything looked really good on this, and it's going to just pop right into the chassis, and of course, little tabs in the front. Lost the hood there. Little tabs in the front will secure the chassis in place, and you won't even have to glue this chassis in place. It's nice. It is square. It rolls on all four wheels, and I really like the way it's turned out. I can't wait to get this buttoned up and get up on the shelf. So hope you like it, and really I hope that seeing these videos, like I said, inspires you to build a kit of your own, whether it be a Salvino JR race car or any other kind of car, or a truck, a plane, a boat, or a tank, even science fiction models, figurines. I'd be interested to see what you build, and if you'd like to feature it on this channel, then by all means send me a couple of high-resolution pictures, and I will put your name in the credits for that, and I'll post a few of those pictures on future videos. I've already got one person who says they're going to do that, so I'm looking forward to seeing what they send to me. And with that, I really don't have anything else to say other than I had a canvas to see which kit you would like to be build next, in addition to the high detail kit, whether it be the Dodge Super Bee, the LX 5-liter, or another Salvino JR kit. And I'll just kind of show you here. I would do a drum roll, but I can't run over to my drum kit and do that. Instead, I'll just show you here. It's pretty much a tight race until the last couple of votes. They wanted me to build the LX 5-liter, but I'm not going to build it stock. I'm not going to build it like patrol car. I'm going to build it like the cars I used to race and see in SCCA competition. I had a friend of mine that had one called Great White on his license plate, and I remember that one, but I also had a couple of videos and pictures of other LX 5-liters that did autocrosses and gymkhanas, and I liked the way they looked with like a mismatched fender. Kind of looked like a weekend racer sort of thing, and that's how I'm going to build that kit. So thanks for those of you who voted, and stay tuned as I start building that kit. I am almost ready to start building the number 99 Ron Keselowski Dodge Charger. I got some more of the parts in. As soon as I got the last parts in, I will set everything out on the workbench and show you what I plan to do with that kit over the next couple of months. So with that, have a great weekend. Keep building. Right now it's about 5:15, and as you can see with the sirens going off, Chelsea, right there over Grocery's house, that's where Norwalk would be with the tornado.
All windows and doors on the lowest level of whatever building you are in. This is a very dangerous situation setting up in South Polk County, right around East Army Post Road, Evergreen Ave, Southeast Azalea Drive as well, right around the Pleasant Hill area. where we have a large tornado on the ground. But as Jerry-Ann said, it's potentially now rain wrapped, so you would not be able to see that tornado.
There on the map. We've got that bulge out there in the thunderstorm with a notch.
That's the tornado.
We're able to see the tornado there, but the potential in altitude
that is south
large hail
of Adventureland, Chelsea.
Punch out your windows. You need to be into a place of shelter.
Yeah,
see this? Those are those new apartments. And this is the 5 bypass. That is rain wrapped. Nope.
Very, very heavy rain, potentially mixed with some hail, but the tornado would be inside of that. This is not the complete tornado. It's
see how it's moving?
Inside of that.
Look at that edge.
Of that rain and that hail. So very difficult to see. You will not be able to see it, which is why we want you to take shelter. Do not try to go out and chase this tornado because
we ain't chasing
you're
this
not
puppy.
going to be able to see it.
Nope.
You need to
In like the past minute, as you can see, Chelsea, that area past the tree over here, it went from being relatively clear to being dark. I think that's your rain wrap. And according to the rotation, what they're showing on the radar,